Hello, and welcome to an introduction to eCYBERMISSION. My name is Matt Hartman, and I'm the Educational Content Manager. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about eCYBERMISSION. So, what is eCYBERMISSION? eCYBERMISSION is a web-based STEM competition for students in grades 6, 7, 8, and 9. You will work in teams of 3 to 4, and you will choose a problem in your community to explore or try to solve. This is a long-term project, so you'll be working on it over days and weeks, not just one class period. But since it's a competition, there are also prizes available. In each state, we award a first and second place prize in each grade. Each first place winning team receives $1,000 per student in savings bonds, and each second place winning team receives $500 per student. The bonds are purchased at half of the maturity value when they are awarded, and then mature to those final values over time. If your team is one of the top 3 teams in your grade in your region, you would receive another $1,000 per student in savings bonds, and the chance to participate in the regional judging. This takes place via a video conference with the judges. If your team is selected as the regional winner in your grade, your team would get another $3,000 per student in savings bonds and an all-expenses-paid trip with your team advisor to the Washington, D.C. area in June to compete in the National Judging and Educational Event, or NJNEE. Here, you would present your project to judges face-to-face, and if you're selected as the grade's national winner, your team would get another $5,000 per student. But participating in each year, we have anywhere from 20 to 30,000 students register for eCYBERMISSION, and that number keeps going up. This means that your chances of winning, especially at the national level, are not very high. But your chances of learning something from your project are. Completing a project like this will help you develop the skills to conduct complete and robust scientific and engineering projects. It will also help you learn how to conduct research and to work well in a group. These are the types of skills that are invaluable in high school, college, and beyond. Also, you get to join a new community online, a community of other students in grades 6 through 9 participating in eCYBERMISSION all across the country, and even in other countries around the world. You get to interact with them on the eCYBERMISSION website and via our social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Getting to know these other students will help you form friendships with people that you would otherwise never get the chance to know. And don't forget, you're helping your community. eCYBERMISSION projects are different from typical science and engineering fair projects because they are required to be community-based. This means you cannot just choose a random topic, no volcano models or bridge building. Your projects for eCYBERMISSION need to be based on actual problems that you and others in your community face every day. Start looking around in your world to see what kinds of problems are out there to be explored or solved. You can look in your classroom, your school, your town, your state, or maybe even your own home or backyard. But how do you decide if you want to do a science project or an engineering one? You might already know this, but there's a simple way to tell the difference between science and engineering when it comes to what you're doing. If you're solving a problem, especially with a device of some kind, then you're doing engineering. If you're answering a question, then it's science. So think about the different projects that you've done in your science classes. Some of them were science. You had a hypothesis and you tested based on a question you asked or your teacher told you to ask. Some were engineering if you instead designed a prototype or any kind of solution to a problem. But whichever path you choose, you're going to be working in a team. Each eCYBERMISSION team needs to be made up of 3 or 4 students. If you have 2, find someone else. If you have 5, split into 2 teams and find one more. Working together in a team is something that scientists and engineers do all the time. It's helpful because sometimes other people have ideas that you don't, and also because you take something that would be a lot of work for one person, and with 3 or 4, it becomes much easier to get done. Maybe you'll make a team with some friends, or maybe you'll find someone else that is not your friend but shares an interest with you. It's possible that your teacher or team advisor, since team advisors do not need to be teachers, they could be parents, community group leaders, etc., will assign you to a team. And you're going to need a team name, so start thinking about that. Oh, and think about a login name that you want to use as well. Just remember that it cannot contain your first or last name. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of projects teams have submitted in past years. This is a list of some of the projects that have won eCYBERMISSION national prizes. You can see that they are very different subjects, but what they all had in common was that the teams completed their projects thoroughly and explained each and everything that they did to the judges. Not all of these projects were successful, and not all of their hypotheses were proved correct. But that is not what doing a science or engineering project is about. It's about following the process even if it means it does not work the way you hope it will, and learning from that failure. Scientists and engineers use their failures as ways to know what to do in the future, and you should too. So how should you go about choosing a topic for your project? Choosing a topic can be a real challenge, especially when you choose anything you want. So take a moment to think about it. Ask yourself these questions. What interests you? What problems do you see in your classroom, school, town, etc.? Try watching the news, reading the newspaper, asking your friends and family what they see as problems. Try to come up with a lot of different ideas, so if when you start exploring them you find that some are too big to tackle or you don't have the resources to explore them, you can move on to something else. And if this seems overwhelming, you can try to narrow down your choices with our mission challenges. Mission challenges are categories that we use to help narrow down your options and also for when you might be seeking help from professionals. One of the great resources eCYBERMISSION has available is access to Army scientists and engineers who volunteer their time to help our teams. We use the mission challenges to help us pair your team up with a scientist or engineer who studies that particular field. But take a look. Maybe one of these categories will help spark an idea of something that you could use as the basis for your project. But whatever you want to explore, you're going to need to be registered. Registering is simple. All you need to do is head over to the eCYBERMISSION website and click on Register. Then, you will select Student from the drop-down menu and complete the registration. Remember, you need a login name that does not contain your first or last name. Also, Step 4 will need to be completed by your parent or guardian. After you are registered, it will ask you to link yourself with a team advisor, so make sure your team advisor is already registered as well. Your team advisor will put you onto a team, so make sure you also tell them what you want your team name to be. Once you're registered, you'll be able to log on to the eCYBERMISSION website. As I mentioned, it's up to your team advisor to put you on a team. They also need to enter your choice of method, science or engineering, and your mission challenge. If you selected your topic without looking at the mission challenges, just go back and figure out which one it best fits. This is not used for judging, but it is a requirement. Once your team advisor enters all of this, you will have access to your mission folder. When you go in, it will look like this. You will see the 4 different sections at the bottom. Each one will need to be completed. Also, we recommend that you do not have more than one team member in the mission folder at a time. The mission folder will not update in real time, so if 2 people are in there at the same time, you might lose some of the information you entered. You may even want to do all of your work on a separate document, like a Google Doc, and then move it all over at once. When you click on Team Collaboration, you will see the questions for that section. You simply enter your answers in those text boxes. Also, note that there are links under some of the questions that say, if you need help with this, look here. If you find your team is having a tough time answering a particular question, click on that link to access a resource that will help you. You don't need to complete the entire section in one sitting. You can always save what you've done by clicking the Save button at the bottom. But again, remember that if 2 people have the mission folder open at the same time, it will save whatever the last person sees when they click Save. Once all the sections are complete, your main mission folder page will look like this. I also want to point out that it is on this screen that you can upload files to your mission folder. These would be pictures, graphs, tables, whatever you think is necessary. Any resources that you want to include in your mission folder to help the judges better understand what you did. You should always reference these files in your answers too, so the judges know what to look for in the attachments. You can do this at any time, not just when the sections are marked complete. Note the reminders at the bottom here. The mission verification section asks if you did any testing on vertebrates or conducted any surveys. If you did, you need to make sure that you have the proper forms attached. IRB stands for Institutional Review Board. This can be an IRB that already exists, or you create your own at your school with a science teacher, not your team advisor, a medical professional, such as a school nurse, and an administrator. All three must review your proposal and sign off on it before you start testing. The same goes for survey approval, and in this case includes the IRB approval as well as specific approval for the survey to be given. Again, make sure these forms are signed before testing or surveying starts. This is very important and part of the rules of the competition. It's to make sure that you and your subjects remain safe. Make sure that once you are done with your mission folder, or even while you're doing it, you review the rubrics that the judges use to score your folder. Knowing what the judges are looking for and how they score can help your team get a better score and have an even better chance of winning. You can find these for both science and engineering on the Advisor Resources page on our website. So do not miss out on using this valuable resource. You will need to make sure that everything is done and submitted by the submission deadline. This changes each year, so make sure that you check the competition timeline on the website. But it's always around the end of February or the beginning of March. Your team advisor may choose to make certain parts of the mission folder, or the folder itself, due at specific times, so check with them. Or maybe you will set your own deadlines for your team to make sure that you are done on time. But when it is time to submit, that is up to your team advisor. When your team advisor logs into their account, they will be able to access your mission folder too. They can read, edit, and submit it. They have an extra button that says Submit Folder. When they click, they will either see that the mission folder is not complete, or they will be asked a few verification questions about when the team started working and to make sure that the team followed all of the rules. If they click yes to these questions, they will be able to submit the folder. They can also unsubmit folders if a team realizes they forgot to include something, or the team needs to make a change. But they can only do this before the submission deadline, and once the team has made the changes they want to make, the team advisor will need to resubmit. And if you click on Submit Mission, you will see a note that explains that your team advisor must submit the folder. Note that once it is submitted, the folder becomes read-only, so you will still be able to see it. If you think your team advisor has submitted your folder, but you're still able to edit it, then they may not have submitted it yet, and you may want to remind them. And just a quick review of the important dates. Each year, registration opens in early August, but you can actually start working on your project before you register, in fact, as early as April. Our early registration deadline is usually in mid-November, and if we are offering STEM kits that year, you'll need to be registered before then to get one, and each student gets their own. Registration will usually close in mid-December each year, and the projects are due, again, in late February or early March. Hopefully, you're excited about your eCYBERMISSION project. Feel free to go back through this presentation since there's a lot of information. Also, if you need help, you can contact Mission Control, our help center, by calling 1-866-GO-CYBER, Go Cyber. Or you can send them an email at missioncontrol@eCYBERMISSION.com. Good luck this year, and thanks for accepting the challenge.